Okay, next on the list, I have New Jersey Noir. This is a book that has been put together, edited by Joyce Carol Oates, but this is a series that is published by Akashic Books, and it deals with mysteries and kind of dark stories in all the different cities in the world. So if you don't know it, you should check it out. New Jersey Noir, why not? Okay, why not? Next on the list, we have A Far Cry from Kensington by Muriel Spark. Now, Muriel Spark is another writer that is very popular on BookTube, but I have not read any Muriel Spark, so this could be a discovery for me if it gets picked. This one is here again, historical fiction. And it says, set on the crazier fringes of 1950s literary London, A Far Cry from Kensington is a delight, hilariously portraying love, fraud, death, evil, and transformation. Mrs. Hawkins, the majestic narrator of A Far Cry from Kensington, takes us well in hand and leads us back to her threadbare years in post-war London. There, as a fat and much admired young war widow, she spent her days working for a mad, near bankrupt publisher of very good books, and her nights dispensing advice at her small South Kensington rooming house. At work and at home, Mrs. Hawkins soon uncovered evil, shady literary doings, and a deadly enemy, anonymous letters, blackmail, and suicide. Okay, so got a literary theme. That's a plus. Muriel Spark, I think that's another plus. Yeah, it should be pretty good, I guess. It sounds like something that could be very interesting for book club, and it's only 192 pages. So that's a plus too, because some of these books are monsters, as you will see very soon. Next on the list, we have The Remains of the Day. This is another book that everybody has talked about like to death on BookTube. It is by Kazuo Ishiguro. Sorry for the pronunciation. It's a historical fiction as well. It says, in the summer of 1956, Stevens, a long-serving butler at Darlington Hall, decides to take a motoring trip through the West Country. The 6-day excursion becomes a journey into the past of Stevens and England, a past that takes in fascism, 2 world wars, and an unrealized love between the butler and his housekeeper. So, yeah, I mean, I don't need to talk about that anymore. You already know what that's all about. The next book on the list is called Sal. Now, I've seen this book somewhere before, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but it is by Mick Kitson or Kitson. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. It says, Sal planned it for almost a year before they ran. She nicked an ordnance survey map from the school library. She bought a compass, a Bear Grylls knife, waterproofs, and a first aid kit from Amazon using stolen credit cards. She reads the SAS Survival Handbook and watched loads of YouTube videos, and now Sal knows a lot of stuff, like how to build a shelter and start a fire, how to estimate distances, snare rabbits, and shoot an air gun, and how to protect her sister Peppa, because Peppa is 10, which is how old Sal was when Robert started on her. Okay, this is fiction, contemporary. It even says it's young adult, but it sounds intense. It's about 240 pages. I'm not really sure if this is my cup of tea. We will see. I might have to prepare myself for that one, because I don't know. It's not really my thing. But I think I have seen it a few places online, but I haven't seen any reviews or anything like that. Okay, the next book on the list is City of Shadows. This is by Ariana Franklin. This is also another historical fiction. It takes place in Berlin, 1922. It says, one of the troubled city's growing number of refugees, Esther Solomonova, survives by working as secretary to the charming, unscrupulous cabaret owner Prince Nick. And she's being drawn against her will into his scheme to pass a young asylum patient off as Anastasia, the last surviving heir to the murdered Tsar of all Russia. But their found princess, Anna Anderson, fears that she's being hunted, and this may turn out to be more than paranoia when innocent people all around her begin to die. Okay, so yeah, you can see it's a bit of a mystery there. Now, this is definitely not my cup of tea, because I can just, from what I'm reading here, I can already feel like, nah, brah, this is not for me. But, you know, I might have to prepare myself for that one, because, you know, it's possible that it could get picked. Okay, the next one on the list is 4321 by Paul Auster. You didn't heard about this book. This is the big monstrous book that is, brace yourself, 941 pages. That's for the hardcover. So, this is a historical fiction contemporary, pretty deep because it is Paul Auster. It got very mediocre reviews online, pretty much. Online, I'm including YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. Here in France, it's gotten fairly good reviews, but I think that's also because in France, Paul Auster is loved. But this is basically, it says, nearly 2 weeks earlier on March 3rd, 1947, in the maternity ward of Beth Israel Hospital in Newark, New Jersey, Archibald Isaac Ferguson, the one and only child of Rose and Stanley Ferguson, is born. From that single beginning, Ferguson's life will take 4 simultaneous and independent fictional paths. 4 identical Fergusons made of the same DNA. 4 boys who are the same boy go on to lead 4 parallel and entirely different lives. Family fortunes diverge. Okay, so that's pretty much what the overall idea of the book is. Frankly speaking, I'm not that interested, especially after seeing so many reviews where people were giving it like just 3 stars, you know, saying it was just okay. I'm not going to spend 20 hours plus reading a book that's just okay. So I'm really going to have to prepare myself for this one. So I think if this one gets picked, I think what I'll do is I will definitely listen to it on audio. You know, that way if I really need to, I can speed it up, because I really don't see myself really enjoying this book. I mean, the principle of it, the premise of it sounds interesting, but I mean, you know, 949 pages, 800 and something. I think it's 888 in paperback. Nah, bro, I don't see myself reading that. But I mean, if you've read it and you think, you know, you felt like it was really, really good, you know, let me know below. Okay, the next one on the list is Lullaby, and that's by Leila Slimani. Yeah, Leila Slimani, I think is what her name is. This is a French author. I think it was longlisted for the Women's Prize this year, if I remember correctly. It was a big deal in France when it came out. This is a thriller mystery novel. It's about 256 pages, so not very long. It says, as the premise, when Miriam, a French-Moroccan lawyer, decides to return to work after having children, she and her husband look for the perfect caretaker for their 2 young children. They never dreamed they would find Louise, a quiet, polite, and devoted woman who sings to their children, cleans family's chic apartment in Paris. Paris's upscale 10th arrondissement, stays late without complaint, and is able to host inviolable birthday parties. Okay, the couple and nanny become more dependent on each other, but as jealousy, resentment, and suspicions increase, Miriam and Paul's idyllic tableau is shattered. Okay, so this kind of gives me, you know, vibes of, you know, American movie kind of situation. But I think this one, she talks a lot about the class differences and stuff, and, you know, I don't know. But, you know, if we have to read it, I'm fine with it, but I don't think I'll be voting for that one. It's just, I don't know. I when it came out here in France, I didn't feel like reading it either. Although I heard people talking about it on the radio, and I'm just like, I'm reading it on the list, and I'm like, eh. All right, next book on the list is The Killing House by Claire McGowan. Now this is the Paula Maguire series, and this is book number 6. So already seeing that, I'm definitely not voting for it, because the idea of reading a mystery from a series in the middle of the series, I'm like, why? You know, this is like, Anyway, this is what it's about. It's a forensic psychologist. Paula Maguire returns in The Killing House, the 6th novel in Claire McGowan's series. It says renovations at an abandoned farm have uncovered 2 bodies, a man known to be an IRA member missing since the 90s, and a young girl whose identity remains a mystery. As Paula attempts to discover who the girl is and why no one is looking for her, an anonymous tip-off claims that her own long-lost mother is also buried on the farm. Okay. It's odd, but, you know, it is book 6, and that kind of troubles me just a little bit, you know, that it's book 6 and not book number 1, because that means when I start to read it, I'm going to have to get into this Maguire character like really quickly. All right, anyway, next book on the list is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Now, you have all heard about this book. It is all over line because I think it is longlisted for the Women's Prize as well. It's about 385 pages. Here on Goodreads, it has over 4 stars. So people seem to really, really like it. It's contemporary fiction, and it's basically, it says, meet Eleanor Oliphant. She struggles with appropriate social skills and tends to say exactly what she's thinking. Nothing is missing in her carefully timetabled life of avoiding social interactions, where weekends are punctuated by frozen pizza, vodka, and phone chats with Mummy. All this means that Eleanor has become a creature of habit, to say the least, and a bit of a loner. Okay, look, I don't really know about this one, how I really feel about having to read it. I guess if I had to read it, it would be all right. I'm not really sure what we'll talk about. I'm not really sure it's my cup of tea in particular, but who knows? We'll see. All right, next on the list is His Majesty's Dragon, which is the Shimmer series. This is book number 1, and this is a fantasy. Dragons, okay? So you know this one ain't for me, because I don't really do fantasy like that. This one is a short one though. It's 353 pages. It says aerial combat brings a thrilling new dimension to the Napoleonic Wars as valiant warriors ride mighty fighting dragons bred for size and or speed. When HMS Reliant captures a French frigate and seizes the precious cargo, an unhatched dragon egg, fate sweeps Captain Will Lawrence from his seafaring life into an uncertain future and an unexpected kinship with a most extraordinary creature. Okay, now, dragon eggs. This reminds me, what was that other one? Aragon? Wasn't that the one with the dragon eggs in it? Oh, this would just pain me to death if I had to read this, because I'm sorry, this is really not for me. I don't know. I just hope it doesn't get picked.